as you know, Wolf, kind of hoping to move more into looking at the practices of people in 12-step recovery, because it's not just about belief, it's about what people do. And there are kind of there are daily practices that people would talk about, but there are also some significant practices that people on their journey of recovery in a 12-step program would undertake. And one of the key ones is taking a searching and fearless moral inventory. So looking back at the past and getting honest about the past, and those words, searching, fearless, moral, sound very kind of hardcore, sounding like they're coming from a place of moral judgment. And I'm quite interested in how that jives or doesn't jive with kind of more contemporary psychotherapeutic understandings of recovery, and how it might kind of cut across kind of acceptance models.
And I think this is so fascinating, because if we're in a large room, and we're going to come to some of this, and you and I have been in room with hundreds and hundreds of people in recovery, not just 12-step conventions, but more generic, for want of a better word, recovery conventions, well, those spaces feel so immensely non-judgmental.
Yeah. Absolutely. And they'll be made up of people who have gone through this process. And what I'm wanting to learn more about is what is people's experience of that process. And there's, I think, commonly people would have anxiety about going through a process like that. But what people also report is that it is the very foundation of their recovery, because it's about coming out of denial, and becoming accountable for their behavior. But I'm really curious about the dynamics of that. And what fascinates me about it is just how courageous it is. So religious people might want to say they introspect and they think about their ethics and things like that, but I suspect people who are in 12-step recovery do that at a much deeper level than many religious people. And it's a spiritual journey of immense depth, the way that people talk about that. So I'm really kind of fascinated about that. And how it changes people, and how how there is that that atmosphere of lack of judgment when you've got hardcore language like moral inventory. How is it that creates an atmosphere of lack of judgment? Well, I think part of the reason for that is because mutual aid recovery communities, nobody's better than anyone else. Everybody's done the same shit.
We all have warts, yes.
Exactly. But because there's no kind of professional tier, there really is that kind of equality and egalitarian feel that there might be sort of people who've been around for a bit longer who are helping the people who are newer in. So there's an inequality there, but those people who've been around a bit longer, their histories are full of the same stories.
And I think that egalitarianism is crucial to the broader recovery movement, where it's peer-led. I think you've talked about that delineation, removing the professional element. I mean, obviously 12-step is peer-led almost by definition, but of course, actually, there are other forms of the peer-led activity, aren't there, in the recovery community, of course, where that stuff comes through. Yes.
Yeah, and it's so valuable. I think it's it really is the secret to recovery, that I mean, professional help for different things is really important, Like peers can't do everything to help somebody. You know,
Of course.
you need professionals for psychotherapeutic work. You need professionals for, you know, housing and jobs and, you know, all kinds of different areas of life where somebody might need some help. But for kind of navigating a path to recovery from addiction, the central kind of emotional journey that is, you're so much better off with somebody who's trod that path,
Yeah.
who
So
knows that
so let's
terrain.